So, to your right, you'll notice a series of boats behind another boat. And you might be able to make it out, but they're actually attached to yellow poles. Those are actually public docking spaces. Boats from all over the world would come here through the St. Lawrence Seaway to dock their boats, and they're allowed to stay overnight. They're provided with electricity and water. All that for $1.85 per linear foot on a daily basis. So essentially, it's your cheapest hotel out here in Toronto. But I mean, you do have to buy a boat first, right? So alter your definition of cheap accordingly. Now our captain's been very kind enough to slow down the boat for us and make this turn. Feel free to walk around the boat, take pictures. If you're going to go up the hatches, please keep 1 foot on the ground. You want to keep those life jackets dry, and I want to keep my license.
Send them to me on email.
Yeah, there was a blanket party on that.
Oh, we were not invited.
So, to your left, you may have noticed those collection of sailboats. Those are all owned by the Island Yacht Club. They have $6,000 in initiation fees. It's quite expensive, more than what I can afford. However, I like to mention it during my tour, specifically for their interesting tradition. They like to name their boats after their professions. So for instance, an investment banker named his boat Safe Returns. There's a red sailboat out there somewhere, owned by a person who works for the Heinz company. He named his boat Ketchup. A working dentist couple named their boat Molar Power with a thing at the back called a Tooth Fairy. A lawyer named his boat Advocate. A psychologist and proctologist actually made it onto a local yachting magazine for naming their boat Heads or Tails. My favorite though was someone who works for the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, and he named his boat Cirrhosis of the River. It's quite morbid. If I had his job, I'd rather name my boat Aquaholic. Much funnier. So over here to your right, you'll notice quite a overgrown area, very nature-esque, kind of like my room. These are actually national preservation spots. There you'll find over 200 species of birds, so things like blue jays, robins. That mute swan over there, they're normally seen in pairs, like that one. The reason for that is because they're a monogamous species. They're so named because they're mute. They mate for life. It's probably because they don't have any arguments. It's my theory at least. You also find blue herons, land animals such as muskrats, raccoons, beavers. There's even a 100-pound beaver here somewhere apparently. It's a terrifying thought. We also have predators such as coyotes, foxes. The biggest land animal you'll find though is a white-tailed deer. So nothing too massive. There's my ball. Oh well. We even had an alligator here before. No one's gonna argue with me? No?
I was gonna say yeah, right.
You should believe me, I'm your tour guide. Oh look guys, you can see a gray heron.
You can.
It's over there. It's very dark so you can't really see it. It's well camouflaged. So about that alligator. It was brought here for the filming of Police Academy 5. It was a mechanical alligator. Yeah, so I was telling the truth. This area was turned into the Florida Everglades. Did you guys know you were going to take a vacation to Florida today? Because you did. In the movie though, they did forget to edit out one part. It was the CN Tower. It was poking out through the background of the trees. So right now, we are entering an area called Forestry. I wonder why it's called that. Here, we have over 700 island residents. About 250 houses. Now, the island residents here are only living as long as their 99-year lease contract stands. So after 99 years, they have to renew it. Now, if you look over to your right, you may notice that building up ahead. That's actually an elementary school, public elementary school. They have limited grades though, so only from grades 1 to grade 6. They have an interesting science program. If you're part of that program, you're supposed to stay there for about a week in their dormitories. Now, the children who attend that school would either travel by ferry or they already live out here in the islands and they would get there by buses. They're serviced by the Toronto Islands. So I was just asked how many people live on the islands. There's about 700 people. Yeah. So expect to. Yeah. So about 250 houses here. Here in the Center Islands, we have various numerous activities actually. For one, you see that woman over there, that's probably a bike rental. I could be wrong, but the Toronto Islands provide you with bike rentals for 1, 2, or 4 persons. We also have kayak rentals, canoe rentals. There's a Centerville amusement park. I was just there just last week, celebrated for getting my captain's license. So I can tell you from personal experience that they have log rides. They've got a scrambler, where they put you in a metal seat and then they spin you around like an egg beater, playing very loud, awesome music of your choice usually, if you're friends with a DJ. They also have bumper boats, those are really fun. Swan rides. So if you're interested in coming out here, they also have picnic tables and barbecues, but you do want to get to them early on because they do fill up quite quickly. Where we are right now is actually called Long Pond. It's about 1 kilometer long. This area is home to dragon boat races. So just last week, they actually had a dragon boat race festival take place here. We joined about 55,000 people, which is the second largest attendance in the entire world for dragon boat races. The first, of course, being in Hong Kong, where the sport originated. Makes sense. For those of you who don't know what dragon boating is, it's essentially like canoe boats, only much lower, and there's 10 people per side of the boat, and they row one-sided like this. Here they also have the Viking boat races and festival. Competitors go on boats wearing traditional Viking gear, so really hot heavy fur on a hot day. Not so much in the night though. And they would row up and down this channel. They also like to wear horn helmets. Fun fact about those helmets, real Vikings never wear them, so that's a common misconception. If Vikings were to wear those helmets, it would actually be quite bothersome for them during battle. There you go, history facts. A few years ago, they also hosted events such as the Scandinavian wife carrying contest, which is exactly what it sounds like. What you do is you take your wife, put her over your shoulder, and then you run through an obstacle course. Now the incentive behind that is, well, you win your wife's weight in beer. So there's a bit of strategy involved, yeah. Captain Zara had to carry me, of course, because I'm a lot heavier. Now we're just about to make a turn into Deep Pipe Cut. It's quite a misleading name, as it's not actually very deep. It's only 3.6 meters in depth. In fact, if Captain Zara were to drive a bit too far to the left over there, we'd hit shallow waters and we'd actually run aground. We don't want that. It's a popular spot for fishing. Here they have trout, bass, pike, salmon, catfish, sunfish. We also have the Ontario Salmon Derby taking place sometime this year, not sure when. But what that means is prizes are awarded according to the size of the fish that's caught. One woman apparently caught the $1 million salmon. However, it was 2 days after the event was over, so she never got her prize money. She does get mentioned on this tour though, so she's got that going for her. And she did get to keep the fish. Over to your right, this is the Toronto Island Marina. It's basically like the yacht club, only this is public. They've got a community of about 200 people. They like to come out here from the city and dock their boats and live cottage style. Now, those blue contraptions over there, the cubic looking ones, those are called travel lifts. They lift boats out of the water. And you would want to do that for repairs and during the winter so that your hull doesn't get damaged by the cold. These waters do freeze over. However, boats like the Pathfinder over here stays here year round, and what he does is he puts a bubble underneath it, prevents damage from his hull. Now, I did say they like to live cottage style. It looks like they're roughing it, but really they're not. They're quite well taken care of. They've got Wi-Fi, general store, restaurant, full service mechanic, and the only fueling station out here in the harbor.